me because it's been, I don't know, 5 years, 20
It
years,
is a
however
big
long
deal.
it's
It's a
been.
super big deal. Nice work. Nice work. 5 years, huh?
It's been a lot longer than that, but yeah, this is done.
Nice. Any other
So
gratitudes you want?
it'll all be real estate from here on out now that this is done.
Let's go. Let's go. Anyone else?
I was this is Wednesday, but I got to spend some time with my grandson and he we were playing his kind of baseball, which was just on we didn't have any real baseball stuff here at the office. So we played baseball with the plastic one but he ran and I had to run after him, catch him, and I kept getting out of breath and he goes, "Grandma, you got to do hard things."
Ah, let's go. I love it. I love the osmosis effect. People grow into the conversations you create around them. They're listening. They're always listening.
I'm pretty sure I said that to him at one time.
I know. Love it. We do hard things. I mean, if you're gonna have any kind of mantra, like if there's a family legacy, right? Like as opposed to, well, this always happens to us, or yup, everyone's against us. Yup, yup. The rich get richer. Yup. It's hard to get out of the bottom. Yup. Not where we come from, not in this family. As opposed to like perpetuating that, having the affirmation of we do hard things. My favorite one with my girls, and I share them with them. I turn around and I said, guys, Levchenkos are winners. That's their affirmation. They're like, hey, Levchenkos are winners. And the thing is that if you don't quit, you can't lose. That's the thing. Levchenkos are winners. And it's not, we're not quitters, right? Because the key word there is quitters, right? Hey, we're winners. And that's the lesson is you can't lose if you don't quit. If you just keep going, you're just going. Like you haven't lost yet.
And
So,
that's your Conversations That Converts call for the day. See you
and,
later.
and we're done. Go hug your kids. Go high five a kid. Uh, anyone else? Do.
I'll say something.
Yeah, Brianna.
So I'm grateful for this meeting because it got me out of my comfort zone and I made my social media presence known last night.
Let's go. All right, now we're done. Now the call's over. We change your life. There we go.
Yeah.
I love that for you. Very cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. So were we supposed to like check in today or tomorrow on our accountability from Wednesday's call?
Well, today, but like after the business day, I actually just made a post in the group asking people the same question, saying that I'm only halfway there.
All
So
right. All right.
Cross that line today.
Here's your friendly reminder to show up and get on and what is it? What is it? Proclaim your accountability. Own it.
Yes, jump on that post from Wednesday.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, it is Freestyle Friday. So unless anybody had another gratitude or win to share today, this call is reserved for you guys and your challenges and your questions and your opportunities. So what do you got going in your world? What are you looking to build or create, or what's been getting in your way of living that life that you deserve? What you want to talk about?
I'll jump on.
I saw Blake unmuted. Let's go.
I was waiting for everybody. I was like, I'll give you a chance, but I'll jump on. So I kind of piggybacked. Well, I want to piggyback on what I jumped in on that last. I was in the restroom, but I came in and you were like, hey, the only way you lose is if you quit.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that success is going to show up in ways. It's not going to show up in the way that you thought it was going to, especially if you give yourself a long enough time horizon. I put a goal out there that was going to take I gave myself 48 months to do something. And it's coming up on the 11th hour, and success showed up in a way that I didn't even think was going to be possible, but it showed up. And to Matt's point, the only way you lose is if you quit. And quitting, that's the easiest thing. Going and finding something new and exciting that is going to solve your problems, that's the easiest part. It doesn't solve your problem. It just starts you back at the beginning of the game. Press restart, new lives, go. It's not how you win. And so, I mean, I don't know if you guys are, the NFL draft was last night.
Did you get drafted? Did you give yourself a 2-year? Are you walking
I'm a
on?
big Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Let's go.
Do you know how many times those guys have been down, like till the like they're not going to win. They're not going to win. And the last few minutes, they pull it out every single time because they don't stop playing.
For other
So I
teams,
just want to
need
encourage
it.
you today.
Yeah.
That I am grateful for that mentality actually bearing fruit in my life and living out that. So I just want to encourage you, if you are going through something today and you do have a goal that's going to take you years, don't give up. Continue to put the years in, and success is going to show up in a way that you didn't envision it. So that's my gratitude.
The only thing I was going to add to that is most other teams need a few minutes. The Chiefs have proven we only need 1 minute and 30 seconds to win, no matter how far down we are. I'm just saying. That's a Kansas City championship kind of thing.
It's also a gift from Lubbock. So
All right, fair. So
I'll piggyback off of what Blake said too. It's been amazing the opportunities that just show up at the right time. And even just like, not to get all religious, but like my Bible studies in the morning, a lot of times I'll be led with something that causes me to journal something that then leads me to something that gets me to my success. And so I think, I don't know, just being open-minded to success, being open-minded to having conversations with people, clients, whoever that maybe you weren't open-minded to. And then also like believing in yourself. The easiest thing is to quit, right? It's harder to get up and dust yourself off and keep moving forward. It's almost easier to just quit and switch to something new because you don't have to face the failure that you had and overcome that hurdle that you hit. But damn, it feels really good when you just keep going and then you look back and you see how all of those like trials and tribulations and struggles led you to where you are today.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. And it reminded me of a quick reel that, a coach that I follow shared. And I may have, I don't know if I mentioned it. If you don't follow John Sheplack and Sheplack Live, like, do it. The guy makes me nervous. Like, he highlights things about myself that I was like, I think I go hard. And I'm like, and this guy's like at a different level. Like, it's something that I can look for. Like, he's a rabbit I'm chasing. I'm not looking at it and like, oh, I wish I were him. And gosh, I'm like, oh no, he's done some things that are really inspiring. And one of the things he said is through, so the guy did over 1,000 coaching calls just last year, like 1,003 coaching calls last year. Which if you do the math, that's a lot of coaching calls. And he says there's the difference between elite and good is that those that are committed to being elite are solely addicted to process, not outcome. They don't look at like results goals. They simply say, if we do these core activities, every day without fail, whether we feel like it or not, whether it's sunny or raining or icy and snowing. Like if we do these things, our goals will show up and they become addicted to the process. And he says, and not sometimes, and not for 3 weeks. They become addicted to the process, which means they become addicted to consistency. And consistency requires discipline and it requires detail. Detail. The elite have sharp corners. Now, what do I mean by that? The elite have sharp corners. The elite say, if my intention is 50 conversations today, they don't stop at 47 because yesterday was 30. They don't say 47 was good. That's a rounded corner. Because in those three, the three that they shave that corner off of, those three, that's rare air. That's elite air. That's reserved for the top of the mountain. The process hides in the corners that you're cutting every day. It's the little things that make all the difference between the good and the elite. And the elite, the thing is like, they don't have to ever tell you. When John comes in the room and speaks, he doesn't even have to tell you who he is. You're just like, this guy's different. He's different. So what was it? Somebody on another call mentioned like, when you show up, are you a thermometer or a thermostat? Do you just absorb the energy of the room? Like, do you just take the energy of the room or do you change the energy of the room? Now, there's a positive and a negative version of that. The challenge is if you are a thermostat and you're negative, you're going to freeze the room out and you're going to make people in the room uncomfortable and they're going to want to leave. If you come in and you can light up the room and warm up the room, look out. Look out. So back to what Michelle inspired this part of the conversation to show up for me is like, what part of the process am I continuing to deny or discredit because I think it's inconsequential or insignificant when really it's the detail of that process that is keeping me from becoming elite? That I'm willfully cutting a corner that I think is insignificant, and yet it's that corner. And here's the thing is nobody else sees it. It's the corners that you cut in the dark that keep you from shining in the light. And then it's the work that you're willing to do in the dark that has you celebrated in the light. That comes from my coach, Anthony Trucks. He's got a huge keynote speech around the dark work. And he talks about the dark work. He's a former elite athlete, NFL player, college player, also came from a very dark past. And he said he wasn't talented and he wasn't good, but he knew he was willing to do the work when no one was watching, which allowed him to be celebrated in the stands. So when we take a look at like, what's the dark work that we could be doing on ourselves for our families, on ourselves personally for our own growth and development, and then in our work, right? Like what the process. I don't know. I'm doing my best to kind of like articulate this to like, I'm trying to land the plane. And I know I'm just kind of like out here for a minute, which is why this is a freestyle Friday. Like this is what it's like to freestyle. And I'm looking for somebody to co-pilot with me and help me land this thing. So what are you hearing from this conversation?
Something you said about, the things that we do in the dark, the things that we don't let people see. It's because we're worried about, what somebody might think, or what if we do this and we fail, and what are people going to think? If we're not doing the things, if we're hiding that stuff anyways, people are going to know that we're not doing it, whether we put it out there or not, because there's no results.
Yeah.
And so if you're trying to hide it, you can't hide the things that aren't happening or the corners that you're cutting, because it will show up in the lack of results.
Yeah. So I used to teach a class where there was a weekly accountability check-in every morning. And there were certain metrics that everyone had to do or else you would receive fouls. And some of those metrics were 100 conversations a week. And then you had to do journal pages every day. And There were some coaches that were really lax with those things. But like I would make people and the team captains, and I would say, all right, get your journal pages out, open up your journals, team captains. I need you to get eyeballs on an entry from every day. Count them. There needs to be 5. And if there's not 5, I tell the person who has the journal, I said, don't you dare make your team captain feel any kind of way for showing you the F that you earned, the foul that you earned. Because what people would do is they would look at the team captain and go, are you really going to give me an F for this? And the thing is like, no one's giving you anything. You chose it by not showing up. And then at the end, but then I would come up to the board and everybody's done their contacts, but we've got no agencies, no appointments, no closings. I'm like, this is odd. This is interesting. I said, for the last 4 weeks, everyone's made all of these conversations and contacts, and we've got nothing. So a couple things happen here. Number one, we're just not saying the right things. We're not saying them to the right people. Or you're so worried about looking good and being right that you're saying you did the work, but the results aren't showing up. Now, here's the thing. I would share this with them. I said, I've already gotten paid. You're not cheating me, and you're not like, you're cheating your family. You're cheating your future. When you show up for accountability and you're not willing to look in the mirror and own the process, you think you're like the only person that's hurting. Well, here's the thing. You think the only person that's hurting is you, but it's not. I feel like the number one reason we don't show up for our accountability is because we think that our actions are only impacting us. Your actions are impacting your legacy. Your actions are impacting your family and your family's family. Because if you had and the people that you're destined and like designed to reach out to and help, like there's a family out there that is absolutely stuck and struggling in a housing situation that you have an answer for, but because you're unwilling to knock on a door, pick up the phone, or connect with somebody and talk about real estate and see who you can help. There's somebody that's going through Chapter 7, that's going through a divorce and a bankruptcy, that's suffering in a situation that you could help solve, but you're unwilling to reach out because you're like you're afraid of something.
So I have a funny story. It might be about being a student in one of these classes. We used to have to make these phone calls on like an hour break you give us to make these phone calls. And I didn't like making phone calls. So I would just dial this number. It was 515-244-5611. And it would give you the time and temperature so that you could look like you were making calls, but not actually be making the calls. But then I was also one of the people who showed up not having results. And the not having results on the board became a bigger pain than not making the phone calls to get to the results. So there you go.
We call that CA. You had a severe dose of CA, and that's creative avoidance. You came up with this elaborate way to make it look as if you were, to not be ridiculed or called out on the spot. The thing with creative avoidance is it is the seed of depression. It's the seed for anxiety. It's the seed for self-loathing. It's the seed of substance abuse. It's the seed of relationships that fall apart. When you become more addicted to creatively avoiding the conversation, the activity, you're basically saying that you're just not willing to show up for your life.
Yeah. I knew the weather really well. but what I didn't know was my I didn't have self-worth at that time, honestly. It was more embarrassing for me to have to say the wrong things in front of a group of people that were all having conversations than it was for me to fail forward.
I understand. I mean, I share the story. I share the story whenever I go into a room and speak. Like, it was the first day where I made a commitment to go and begin lead generating to get to create a runway for me to go full time in real estate. And I remember I sat in the training room staring at that phone number all day, and I couldn't get myself to press the thing. And I remember going home, and my wife said, "How'd you do today? Like, I know today was the big day. Like, you were so excited to get started. We're going to be calling all these physicals." And I was like, "Oh, it was so good." Yeah. And then I remember going upstairs to get ready for the day. I had to like change out of my work clothes to start doing some work around the house. I remember looking in the mirror and I went, I don't like that. It hit me like big. I'm like, there's no, how am I gonna quit my job if I can't even make a phone call? And I got so like, I don't know if there's like a graph like Blake and Joey showed like the graph of like the doom, the pit of despair, or the swamp of unworth or whatever. I don't know what it's called.
Valley of Despair.
The valley of despair and the swamp of self-loathing, right? I was in there, but the thing is like, so you could be like a Dreyu and just go under, or you can let that feeling get you so mad that you're willing to fight like anyone to get out. And the thing is, oftentimes we got to fight. We got to fight ourselves. We got to fight that version of ourselves. It's like struggling to keep us small. And what it is, it's like, it's your best version of yourself is just dying to come out. And like the version of you that's comfortable is like just bear hugging that person's like, no, 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 don't you dare. Don't you start doing this stuff. Don't you step out of your comfort zone. It's going to be really awkward. It's going to be you're gonna lay some eggs. Some of these posts are going to not go so good. You're going to say some things. You're going to put yourself in a spot. Like it's good. There's going to be people that are going to maybe inadvertently send you a text saying, well, you'll be the first to fail. That's not going to be fun.
Matt, I kind of want to share some notes from a call that we were on
Do
last
it.
Friday. And it says, we often base everything on how we did on our best day.
Mm.
And that we judge ourselves, like, don't judge yourselves on the perfect day, because as we know, those days are very few and far between. It's really how you show up on your worst day.
Oof.
This is who you really are. And you're
Ooh.
only as good as your worst day, because it's impossible to fake. And then this is the piece that hit me the hardest, was how much you prepare shows how much you care about the people that depend on you.
Dang, bro. You need to put out like a parental advisory, like explicit memes coming through. Like that hurt.
So when we take account
Mm-hmm.
of how much are we preparing for our day, how much are we preparing for the work, how much are we preparing to show up for ourselves, really shows how much you care about the people that depend on you. So
That really rolls back into that whole atomic habits 1% theory,
Yeah.
right? Just really doing the little things, doing that habit stacking,
Mm.
building the good habits that make you consistent and prepared. I mean, really, it's, and I think too, just saying, like so many people think you guys got to success, this comes easy to you, that you just think like this all the time. But I'm going to be willing to guess that if I pulled off a layer of what is in front of me, behind that, you all have some sheer fears still. You still have those doubts. It's just that you've trained your mind to say, I can move through that instead of letting that stop you.
Michelle, it's not even training. It's every day I wake up and I have to win the war in my
Yeah.
mind. It is a
Yeah.
war every single morning. So
90 days, like 90 days ago, I was in a spot. I was in a spot. My mindset, my scenario was very challenging. And I remember just in my mind working on creating all this possibility. And I was like, if this doesn't work, if this doesn't work, if this doesn't work, if this doesn't work, like we're in a tough spot. I remember it was 9:57 p.m. My dogs are outside. It was an unseasonably kind of warm evening. I look up, the moon was almost full, shining down. It was just me and my dog in the deck, and I had massive anxiety, and I was not looking forward to going to bed because I wasn't sleeping well. I couldn't get to sleep, and when I fell asleep, I would wake up, and when I wake up, my mind would just start racing into all of these scenarios that could be worst case, and I'm like, if these things happen, then what, right? And I just remember sitting there about ready to like just burst with frustration, anxiety. And I was holding on to it so tight that I would, you ever like hold on to something so tight, like your hands like burn and hurt, etc. But then you get to the point of exhaustion where you have to let go. What happened is that I'm sitting there on the patio, and I just had a moment where I was like, I have to trust that all the things that I'm supposed to be doing, I'm doing. I let this go. I let this go. I trust whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. I trust we're going to get through this, and I'm not going to stop. But like, I trust the answers on the other side. I trust the answers right around the corner. I give this up. I let this go. I slept that night for the first time in a long time. And then and then every day, just, okay, I let this go. I trust the process. I'm here to do the work. Do the work. Show up. Continue to show up. We're still here. We're still going. We're never going to stop. Because Levchenkos are winners. We're over time by a minute. I would love to give out somebody just a second to just share an aha win or a takeaway from today's call. Just like what resonated for you, what stood out for you. What are you going to take with you into the weekend?
It's just kind of going back to our why.
Mm.
And then, when you were talking about being with your dog and letting it all go, it's just kind of like surrendering, and it's like that whole faith or fear you choose kind of thing.
Exactly. It's easy to say that phrase. Right. And it's easy to also say there's no breakthrough without a breakdown, but nobody tells you how brutal, gut-wrenching, like excruciating the breakdowns are, and how on the limit they might take you. And it may challenge you to like for everything. And I used to think that I got close to breakdowns before, but I was on like, I wasn't anywhere near a breakdown. I was just having a break. Right. But I wasn't down. Like, I feel like I've gotten close. I feel like we got kind of close recently.
I seen this saying, and it doesn't have, it has an unknown, but it says getting lost always happens before you find your way.
Love it. That's cool.
One of the takeaways that I'm going to take is get addicted to the process.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's like pick a process, do it every day, just get addicted to it. Let go of that, because I can't predict the future.
No, but you can definitely control your habits and your actions, right? And your actions and your habits create your future. I can't predict it, but I can make it.
Exactly.
Love it. All right, guys. Hey, happy Friday, y'all. Do like write down some positive affirmations real quick so you can kind of shake the energy of this call real quick. Find a process to start getting after and go crush today. Go crush today. You guys are destined for greatness. Keep moving forward. Conversations that convert attendees are winners. Why? Because we don't quit. Try me. Later, y'all.